Hey guys, Noah here with your daily devotion for today. I'm actually really excited to share this one. I sat down with one of our students through video call this week, and we did the one-to-one Bible study that Kurt's been teaching that he taught Wednesday night. And we went through the first chapter of Colossians. I encourage you guys to read that as a family. But what we noticed, the last question on the one-to-one Bible reading is one thing that you need to work on, one thing that applies to you that you need to fix, you need to address, you need to put into action in your life. And we noticed that we have a lacking in the area of praying for other believers, of praying for other Christians. We noticed and we were convicted by the fact that Paul talks repeatedly in this chapter of Colossians about praying for the needs of other believers, their spiritual needs mainly, and asking God to meet them. And so the challenge I want to give you this morning is just ask you and your family to think of some Christians, some believers that need prayer, some believers that need prayer for their spiritual needs. Because we're really good at praying for physical needs, but we often forget the spiritual warfare going on in our lives and going on in the lives of those who are also devout believers, those who are following Christ, are still being challenged by this world, are still being attacked by the enemy, and we should be praying for them. And so this morning I want to give you 3 things that you can be praying specifically for other believers, and Paul outlines them. This is Colossians 1:9 through 12. He says, "From the day we heard, we have not ceased to pray for you, asking that you may be filled with the knowledge of God's will and all spiritual wisdom and understanding, so as to walk in a manner worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing to Him, bearing fruit in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of God, being strengthened with all power according to His glorious might, for all endurance and patience with joy, giving thanks to the Father, who has qualified you to share in the inheritance of the saints in light." So Paul prays for 3 things specifically when he prays for other believers. He prays that they would be filled with the knowledge of God's will, so they'll know what God wants them to do. He prays that they would have the strength, the spiritual wisdom, and the strength to walk in a way that is pleasing to God, so they'll know what God wants them to do. They'll be able to do the things that God wants them to do. He prays that they will be able to give thanks even in their suffering, because God has saved them. And so 3 things you can be praying as a family for other Christians, other believers who you think about. Pray that they will know what God wants them to do. Pray that they will have the strength to do what God wants them to do. And pray that they will be able to give thanks to God no matter what they face. So this morning, this evening, whenever you guys do your prayer time for the day, add these things to your prayer time. Add these things to your list. Cover these things together and teach your children, teach your spouse, teach your family, teach yourself how to really effectively pray for those Christians in your life, those believers that you know. That's all I got this morning. I love you. I'm praying for you, and I can't wait to see you in person.